Let's return to This Week in America. Here's your host, Rick Bratton.
Welcome back, everybody, coast to coast, This Week in America. The paranormal fantasy thriller Tiger Lily by Noel-Anne Brennan follows Lily Mossberg, an anthropology lecturer at a rural New England university who has the ability to turn herself into a tiger. This ability is due to a sudden rash of genetic mutations, a PSI plague, of which shape-shifting is a rare and virtually unstudied variant. Lily must contend with her ex-husband, a powerful head of a pharmaceutical company, who is ignorant of her abilities, but who wants to make money off the new PSI diseases. He also wants custody of their apparently normal 9-year-old daughter. Well, things come to a head at her ex-husband's secret pharmaceutical facility, where more than Lily's life and that of her daughter are at stake. Tiger Lily has it all: shape-shifting, government secrets, murders, detective work, suspense, romance, and parent-child dynamics. Noel-Anne Brennan has spent most of her time reading fantasy and science fiction. She's been writing since 1986, when Winter Reckoning was published. She was a finalist in the Romantic Times Award for Sword of the Land in 2003. She also taught written poetry and nonfiction. Until she retired, she taught anthropology and gender studies at the University of Rhode Island. She lives with her family in southern Rhode Island today. Noel-Anne Brennan, author of Tiger Lily, is our guest on This Week in America. Welcome to the program. A pleasure to have you with us.
Well, hello, and thank you. It's fun to be here. Or maybe I should say meow, except tigers don't say meow. Rawr, rawr.
Well, I think you captured it there. I love Tiger Lily by Noel-Anne Brennan, our guest on the program. As I mentioned, you've been writing for a while. You're an accomplished writer. This book is doing incredibly well, and we'll talk about the other books as well. What was one of the surprising things you learned in creating your books? Any special messages that you have, lessons that you learned?
Yeah, if you're going to write, you have to make yourself do it. It's a job, and you're not going to feel like it every day. Some days it'll be fine. It's like, okay, that went well. And then the next day it's like, really? Do I have to do this again? And the answer is, yep. You got to finish the stupid book. Get it over with. You know?
So discipline is a major factor in successful writing then.
Yeah, you have to make yourself, you always have to make yourself go to work. I don't care what your job is. There are some days where you just have to say, yeah, if I could kick myself, I would, because I got to go do this.
Yes, exactly. So do you set aside a certain time period when you're writing something that, okay, it's now 9 o'clock and I'm going to work on this for the next 3-4 hours? Do you have a rigid schedule when you're in the process of writing a book?
No, I will say, well, I've got to get some work done today. I want to get this far, and I'll try to get that far. And if I get farther, that's great. And if I don't quite make it, I try to make myself get there. And then there's just more to do the next day if I don't quite make it to where I wanted to. But yeah, you have to make yourself do it, because there's nobody else who's going to do it.
Well, that's it. And I love that. If I don't do it today, I'm going to have to do it tomorrow. So it'll be double work tomorrow. So I'm going to finish it today. So I love that. Words of advice from our guest, Noel-Anne Brennan. I'll give you the spelling on that. And her name is her website. So I'll give you that as we go through the program today. The book we're focusing on is Tiger Lily, book available at Amazon, wherever books are sold. Noel-Anne, what makes a good story? What is it when you sit down to write that you look for, that you feel like, okay, this will be a story people will want to hear and read?
Well, I get weird ideas, and just thinking about them and sort of following through on them, sometimes a story will pop up and I'll think, oh, I have to write this. And it can be anything. It could be something really weird like genetic mutations,
Yes.
Give you strange mental stuff. Or it can be studying another culture or reading archaeology, because I read archaeology articles, and it's like, oh, what would it have been like to live in that place in that time? And then my mind just sort of goes boing, it goes crazy.
What kind of research goes into that? This is fascinating. I mentioned the background for Tiger Lily. We'll get into some of the characters as we go through here, but you've got some reviewers said a believable paranormal world that you create. What type of research goes into doing this? You're creating a world, a science fiction world, but you want to make it believable enough that we can, somehow relate to that. What role is research in your books?
Well, the research for tiger lily wasn't too much because there is no such thing as far as I know, as a side disease like that.
Yes.
So, but I just had a weird idea. I had been studying stuff about shape-shifting beliefs in indigenous cultures,
yes.
including on this continent. There's a lot of that going on. And I thought, well, what would make that a reality? How could that work? As well as being some sort of mutation that gets passed down through the generations. What would start it? How would that work? And immediately I thought, well, it could be some sort of a bacterium or,
Oh, yes.
You could go from that. And, so I just sort of worked with that for a bit, and it just sort of came up. And some of the details, and I have to admit right now, I don't even remember the book. I did not reread it. I read it a long time ago, and I started to read it, and I thought, no, I can't do this.
Well, yeah, it's like you live that once, so why go back and do that again? Other people are doing it, though. They're reading Tiger Lily and enjoying all of the characters that you developed. And we'll talk about all of that as we go through the conversation. Our guest is Noel-Anne Brennan. I'm going to spell that because that's important. Noel, Noel -Anne, A-N-N-E, Brennan, BRENNAN.com is the website to go to. If you're Googling, you do Tiger Lily, it'll come up. You can put her name in there as well. You go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and click on the link to Noel-Anne's website, and you'll be able to get all the information there. I mentioned you've been writing for a long time. Talk about how long you've been writing and when you started and why you started writing.
Well, I come from a background. My father, Noel B. Gerson, was an author. He did a lot of novels, and he did some historical stuff as well. And he treated it was a job. He had a special little room called his study, and he would go in there and he'd work all day. And so I knew, basically that it was a job and you
Yes.
could do this thing. And when I started having weird ideas and I decided to put them down, well, I went with that. But I actually started before that because I got hired to write a book on the Goodspeed Opera House in Connecticut, nonfiction, just the background of it and so on. So I did that. And I thought, well, okay, I can do that. Didn't pay very much, but I thought, okay, I can do that. So maybe I can write other stuff too. And when I started getting weird ideas, I'd sometimes follow them through and think, well, okay, what could happen next? And then I decided to write it down. And once I started writing it, it's like, yeah, okay, it really is a job because now I've started this stupid thing. I got to finish it.
Yes.
So,
whether you want to or not, it's there. Yeah, it's not going to finish itself, is it? It's not going to write itself. You need to do that. Do you have a study like your grandfather? Do you have an area where you like to go and escape and think?
No, I'm just in my living room right now, which is very small. I live in an old house that goes back to, I think, the 1850s.
Oh, neat.
People have,
Neat.
Yeah, well, people have changed stuff since then. I mean, it's got plumbing in it, fortunately.
Yeah, indoors, that's good.
Well, I know where the old outhouse used to be. I found that.
Just in case there's a problem.
I actually started digging stuff up behind it because I knew what happened in old outhouses. I mean, as well as the obvious, people would go and they'd toss broken stuff back there, like they didn't have some other place to get rid of it. It's just, okay, we'll toss it out there, So I started digging around and I found a tiny old porcelain doll that someone had dropped behind what was the old outhouse.
Interesting.
It was just sort of, yeah, it was. It was, and all I found was stuff like that. I didn't find what they were actually doing in the outhouse, I guess.
Well, that's good. It's been a long time. Hopefully that's gone by now. And it's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Probably a lot of stories that could be told if your house could talk, what the stories would be like. Sounds like a great place to be creative. And but Noel-Anne Brennan, if you're just joining us, is our guest on the program. The book we're talking about, she's written many. This Tiger Lily is the one we're talking about. Was there a hard part of this book, a book that was more challenging for you to do in writing Tiger Lily? You have a lot going on here. You keep us really interested. We've got a number of different layers and themes that we follow as we're reading Tiger Lily. Was there a particularly challenging part of this book for you?
Well, I think the challenging part, I don't really remember the problems in writing it, but was just setting it up and trying to make it believable, because I've been reading about, shape-shifting beliefs in other cultures. And I thought, well, if that could really happen, how would that work? What would do it? And how would it play out? And, so I just sort of went with that. And I had to read some stuff about, other cultures' beliefs in shape-shifting and how would this happen? And I'm still not really sure how that would happen.
But you make it so believable. We're thinking, I must have missed this in the paper last week because Noel-Anne has written this, and it sounds like it's something that actually happened in Arkansas a couple of months ago. I don't know how I missed that article. It's that believable is my point. When you started this book, did you have a hard, fast outline? Some authors love the outline. They go back and basically fill in with the story. Or did you let this sort of develop as you were telling the story of Lily?
I let it develop. I had some ideas, and I wanted to keep those ideas and, keep some of the characters and how they would interact. And, but I let the story kind of work itself out. And if something changed in my mind, I'd say, well, is that believable? How does that fit in? And if it fit better than I originally thought or originally planned, I'd use it. And if it didn't, I'd say, maybe next time,
Yes.
And just sort of go with that. And,
And you develop that well. The story really flows. A lot of the reviews saying, I'm not getting any sleep reading this. I don't want to stop. I want to see what happens next. And I mentioned all the different layers of the book. You've got shape-shifting that we've talked about. You've got government secrets. You've got murders, detective work, suspense. You've got the main character, her ex-husband, their daughter, what's the dynamic going on in that relationship. The paranormal fantasy thriller Tiger Lily is what we're talking about with Noel-Anne Brennan. I do the dash there because that's how you'll find the website. And all this is on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. A lot of fantasy books have been written, science fiction out there. What do you think differentiates Tiger Lily from some of the other books in the same category?
Well, it certainly isn't any hard science.
No, it's storytelling that sticks out, isn't it?
It's just sort of craziness that came to me. But I was thinking, how would this work? What would that be like? And what animal do I want to have, for my protagonist? And I've always been fascinated with big cats. And I actually met a tiger once, got to pet him, and he licked my hand.
Interesting. And I love the book cover. We see that on the book cover of Tiger Lily. Our guest is the author, Noel-Anne Brennan. The book available at Amazon, all of the usual places. Let's talk again about this writing schedule. You talk to so many writers, and we have a number of first-time writers on the program where it's difficult to capture that discipline that we were talking about. Tiger Lily, how long did it take you to write this book from the time you had the concept and decided this is a story that I'm going to tell until you had it ready to send to the publisher? What time span was that?
I don't even remember, but it was probably some months, because I'd start something and I think, well, that doesn't work. It should have gone this way. So then I'd go back and revise it. And, it took a while to get there. But, having the general idea and also having some background. I mean, my protagonist in Tiger Lily is an anthropology lecturer, and that used to be my job. I used to teach at the University of
I was
Rhode
going
Island.
to ask you about that next. If Lily or some of these characters, are they based on anybody in your life?
Well, I know what it's like to work at a university, and it's not just giving lectures and grading exams. There are the really bad parts of that kind of work, and I speak specifically here of meetings.
Oh yes, yes. Lots of meetings, eh?
Yeah. Oh, too much of that. If you could just go and teach and help people understand. And that was the best part, actually. When I'd walk in a classroom and that we would have had some assigned reading, and somebody would say, yeah, I read that, but then I found this other article, and they'd tell me about that. And that was like, oh, okay, we got somebody who's really interested here. Let's have
Yes.
a discussion. So that was the best part. Grading exams, and yeah, people did fail, but then I'd talk to them and say, we got to bring your grade up. How do we do this? And we'd work it out because I didn't want anybody failing the course. But the most fun was just having discussions in class if people read the stuff.
Well, yeah, that would
And
be the sort of the creative part of you, of your personality. After you get this written, though, you sort of put that creative part aside, and now you have to find a publisher. You do marketing, all of that. What has that been like for you? Taking the book and now making it available to people by letting them know you've told a great story, getting the word out there. How challenging is the business part of writing?
it can be too much. And fortunately, these days you can self-publish
Yes.
if you make sure that, you do have to proofread your stuff, because typos are
Yes.
they're a disease and they spread. So, you do have to do that, but you can self-publish. And my first books did have traditional publishers, and that was fine. But then when I went to the next books, I lost my agent went to do something else, and my editor went to do something else. And so I was finishing the book I was writing at that point, and I did not have a publisher, and I did not have an agent, and I didn't really feel like, I sort of half-heartedly tried to find others, but then I realized I can self-publish and, just do that.
Yes.
And that's, so people can do that today. And as long as you make sure your stuff is in reasonable shape without a serious plague of typos.
Yes, exactly. You're in good shape then. It's amazing what you can do today. And, you can do the printing on demand and all of that. And, of course, the whole Kindle thing is new to those of us of an older age, where if you wanted a book, you had to buy a book. And that it wasn't real difficult. You had, a book with a hardcover, and a year later, they'd be in a paperback, and you'd buy it and would read it. It's interesting how things have changed. Noel-Anne Brennan, our guest on the program. I mentioned other books that you've written. Talk about some of the books, and you've got a couple of Tiger Lily books, several more, don't you?
There are a couple more that are sort of, they are standalone, or they're supposed to be, but they also follow the basic premise from Tiger Lily. So there are two more. Let's see there's Tiger Lily, there's Burning Bright, and there's Forest of the Night. If you know the Blake poem, Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright, and the Forest of the Night.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out where I could get titles, and that one came to me, and I said, oh, thank you. I don't think that's under copyright anymore.
No, and it's easy to remember, too. So that was a good choice on your part. The other two are Burning Bright and Forest of the Night. Tiger Lily's books 2 and 3. This is book 1. Tiger Lily, Noel-Anne Brennan, our guest on the program. What are you working on now? Are there any others in the Tiger Lily series?
Not in that series. No, I've done some standalone since, and I've got another idea right now. It's really fuzzy, so I'm not even going to talk about it. And I'm trying to work through that because I just finished a book, and I thought I want to do something different now. So I'm working through another idea, and I'll see if it turns out. And if it doesn't, I'll have to do something else, But yeah.
Check Noel-Anne's website to see when new books come out. And again, the Tiger Lily series is there. A couple minutes left in the program. I'm going to talk briefly about character development. That's something sort of a common theme in the reviews of Tiger Lily. What a wonderful job you do of bringing these people to life. Talk about maybe the challenges of character development and bringing out, so we feel like we know these people. They're somewhat relatable in the world that you create. Is it fun creating these people?
It seems sort of natural. It's like, this is somebody I think I sort of know. I need to know more about this person because, I do know people to a certain extent, like the characters in the book.
Yes.
They're not exactly, duh. But go from real life and people that you know and, people that you've read about even, and try to see what seems believable, what seems real, and work that, how would they react to this situation? How would the character that you just imagined react to this particular situation? And you just go from there.
Well, you've done an excellent job bringing the characters to life. Again, that's a common thread among all the rave reviews that Noel-Anne has received for Tiger Lily. Time has gone by so quickly. Hopefully we can do this again. So write another book and we'll have a chance to talk about this again. You're working with Reader's Magnet, readersmagnet.com, their website, in getting the word out on this book. What has that been like working with Reader's Magnet?
Well, it was very weird. When they first contacted me, I had no idea what the heck was going on. But now I've been talking to some of the people there, and I sort of know some of the people there. And, they're trying to make money off of this too, so they're putting out another edition. Okay, that's fine. And they sent me a cover photo and said, is this okay? And it looks pretty much like the cover photo I already had. So yeah, that's fine.
Well, that's good. You've got the professional end of this. It sounds like covered and comfortable with them. And again, that's Reader's Magnet, self-publishing and marketing company. This book is Tiger Lily by Noel-Anne Brennan. I'm going to spell that Noel-Anne, A-N-N-E, Brennan, B-R-E-N-N-A-N. That's her website, noel-annebrennan.com. Book available, Amazon, wherever books are sold, and you can link on by going to our website. Noel-Anne, it's been a pleasure having you on the program. I love your enthusiasm for writing and telling these remarkable stories, your fascination with fantasy and science fiction and making the books very readable, a great storyteller. Thank you for being with us on the program.
Well, thank you so much. This has been fun.
It has been fun, and hopefully we can do this again. And so keep writing. We'll stay in touch and maybe do part 2 with Noel-Anne Brennan. Again, the book is Tiger Lily. It's available at her website, Noel-Anne with an E, Brennan.com. And you can find all that on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. And we're back on today's program right after these messages.
This Week in America is online. You can visit our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Scott Pinkerton, associate producer of This Week in America. Jay Anderson, segment producer. Ben Watson, webmaster. Otto Bechet, director of engineering and TV production. This Week in America produced and is a trademark of Blue Funk Broadcasting, LLC. For information on all of our guests and to listen to this week's show, our website again at thisweekinamerica.us. And I'm Sean Bratton, executive producer of This Week in America.